You didn't expect to see September's video come out this quickly, huh? Death Battle talked about some fun matchups this month. Were they all good? Let's find out. Number 5, the Disney Princess Battle Royale. So the connections is that they are all Disney princesses. Damn, that was so quick. This is a unique idea that I wish I liked more, since this has so many characters to talk about. I will rank them based on how likely I think their chances of victory are. Aurora is in last place. There are arguments that she could put a city to sleep, but I don't think it matters much for this matchup. Next is Snow White and Tiana. Snow White has animals and Tiana has nothing, but I feel like Tiana could probably knock my ass out if we fought, so I think she has a slightly higher chance than Snow White. Belle is smart and would probably think of ways to try and survive, but she's not really a fighter, so she has no shot. Cinderella might have a magical wand that could do some crazy things, but she isn't very good at it, nor is she especially malicious, so she would probably just play defense in most scenarios. Arata is a hunter and a master with the bow, meaning she is our first combatant in actual combat prowess. But honestly, against a more skilled fighter, she doesn't stand a chance. All Jasmine really has is a magic carpet that is really fast, and some Hercules scaling. No combat experience, but her speed stat could be crazy. Pocahontas is the master of her own land, has amazing acrobatic techniques, and can even use a flintlock pistol. Not crazy, but still closest fighter so far. Raya has a bisecting sword and is a swordswoman, but most importantly, she has a powerful dragon. Mulan is also a skilled swordswoman, but has a rocket launcher that caused a massive avalanche. I think her having that puts her slightly ahead of the dragon. Tinkerbell can fly really fast and make people fly themselves, but no real strength to do much damage. Moana could have control of the sea, but that argument is on shaky ground. Other than that, she has mild combat experiences, but has really quick reflexes. Elsa comes in second place. I think she is really powerful, able to freeze an entire city if not continent, but there is one character who can without a doubt control the world's oceans, and that is Ariel. She controls the ocean with a trident that also has magical electrical abilities. I think scaling-wise, no one compares to Ariel even slightly. This matchup is fine enough, but almost nobody here are fighters. If you took maybe like the top 3 or 4 people here and put them into a fight, I think it would be fine. But to include so many people who just get slaughtered is no fun for me. As a crossover, sure, go all out. It's just not a good death battle in my opinion. Number 4, Tara Bradford versus Mira Jane Sprouse. Funnily enough, I couldn't find much here in terms of connections. Just a 2-year-old Rooster Teeth post that says 2 powerful witches who overcame their dark past by becoming the team moms for ragtag groups of heroes. And you know what? That's good enough for me. Sam reps Tara and John reps Mira Jane. The main connection here has to do with their summoning ability. Tara is a half Esper. Espers are extremely powerful magical beings, to put it simply. She has essentially every spell in Final Fantasy. She can fly, has spells like Ultima and Holy that can't be reflected, and has many different summons that essentially are giant magical creatures that are very powerful. Mira Jane transforms into her monsters instead, even being able to transform specific parts of her body so she can mix and match abilities. With this, she can parry magic, create explosions, manipulate minds, and warp perception. There's a few ways this battle can go. Mira Jane can absorb demons, which might include Tara's summons or even Tara's Esper half itself, but Tara overall wins. This is purely stats. Tara at base should vastly outstat Mira Jane, even without Tara's Esper form, which is essentially Super Saiyan. Tara could possibly get her mind manipulated by Mira Jane, but I'd have questions as to how that would actually work and if Tara can resist it. Overall though, fun matchup. I'm not sure if Tara has any popular opponents, but I feel there's interesting ways this fight can go. Plus, it'll get a non-FF7 character on the show, and that's all cool with me. Number 3, Azrael versus King Orange. These two have a knack for breaking the fourth wall and manipulating their game realities. Their lives changed forever after a loss of a family member. They both manipulated people to gain their godlike powers, and both learned the error of their ways and tried to make things right in their worlds. This is surprisingly solid for a matchup and has an interesting debate. Sam repped Azrael and Liam repped King Orange. As typical of Sam and casts, he didn't talk about much. Liam brought up things like how King Orange has a Minecraft command block that lets him do essentially anything, can resist the task manager, can move through emails, affect time, and could just win with the Minecraft icon. Sam said Azrael would have all of Flowey's abilities, but doesn't expound much on what that means. Azrael can essentially have control of the timeline and harm souls. There really isn't much to say here. Things like the Hypergoner would have been a pretty good counter to King Orange destroying 4D structures, but it goes unmentioned. Based on this debate, I think King Orange wins, but I don't think this matchup is a stomp, and I actually do like it quite a bit. It's funny because the guy that picked it did so as a joke, and I'm pretty sure he commented on my last video but deleted it before I had a chance to read it. It was unintentional, but he did make a matchup that intrigues me. I want to learn more and see where this would actually go. an unconventional but fun matchup. Number 2, Sukuna vs. Muzan. These are two powerful demons from the Heian era of Japan who have been dormant for years, before waking up in what is their modern-day Japan's. They both believe themselves to be the strongest thing in existence. They both aren't afraid to kill their allies if said people annoy them enough, and they both hate the protagonist because of their resemblance to other people from their pasts. Extremely solid and a fun matchup, in my opinion. So I know this matchup is better than this cast made it out to be, but as someone who is unfamiliar with specifically the end of Demon Slayer, I have a lot more questions after this cast. Liam reps Sukuna and Sam reps Muzan. Sukuna is easy to understand. The man cuts through things with his attacks. Even if Sukuna just touches you, he has an ability called Cleave which will cut through anything he touches. Muzan has insane regeneration, corrosive blood that will burn and melt anything it touches, tendrils on his back, and a tornado in his mouth. Muzan can also absorb someone with a touch, so this battle could be decided by who makes physical contact first. That being said, they do both have overpowered abilities. Sukuna has a domain expansion which will cut anything within a wide radius, and Muzan has the Infinity Castle, which Sam didn't expound on, so I don't know what it does. Sukuna should win based on this. If not his domain, then with his Eternal Flame that can nuke all dust particles in an area, his defense of having his body surrounded in slashes, and Mahoraga, a demon that is nearly impossible to kill. I think I need to look deeper into this since there seems to be a lot of missing information, but this seems fun thematically, and I'd be down to see it someday. If not for me, then to make Sherm happy. And my number 1 for this month, by a landslide, is Lelouch vs. Char. These two are both from royal families, both got exiled and had their names changed after their parents' death. Both joined military factions to secretly take revenge for their family members. They could both be manipulative and cold. They both ended up leading the factions they came from, and so much more. Thematically, this shit is so solid. An extremely complex matchup with a fun debate. Ben rep Char and Liam rep Lelouch. I love Gundam. I want another episode for the series so badly. Lelouch was the one I was more interested in since I know nothing of Code Geass, but know that these connections are insane. Lelouch has an ability where as long as he makes eye contact with you, he can command you to do whatever he wants as long as it's in your ability to do so. This ability will let Lelouch even erase your memories. It's very busted. Char himself is a new type. Being a new type makes him one with the universe. He has precognition, telepathy, can mess with minds, and even make his mechs stronger. That's right, this is a robot battle after all. Char has multiple mechs that he can use, like the Sazabi, a mech that can have so many beams and particle weapons that it's not even funny. Most notably, Char has his funnels. These funnels are essentially controlled by Char's mind, letting him attack from multiple places all at once by firing beams through each funnel. On top of this, the beam sabers that Char has can be amplified with his mind, somehow. Still trying to figure out the logic on that one. Comparatively, Lelouch has his Nightmare Frame, which has the Master Vibration Sword, Shikiro, which can let him turn into a submarine or jet, and his mechs can release shards of glass in the air. These shards can be used to reflect Lelouch's eyesight, controlling anyone he has eye contact with, even in the reflections. This matchup is so interesting. Overall, I do think Char wins, even without full frontal, which I think is a different character, but that's okay. Lelouch has an absolute defense field, the Zero Beam, which can shoot either a large destructive beam or multiple small beams, and the Damical, which is a large orbital spaceship. The thing is, I think Char outstats pretty badly. Even something as strong as the Fleaja's Warhead would struggle to kill him for good with his precognition. I need this fight to happen though. Interesting fight interactions, interesting banter, and such an interesting story they could tell. I love Gundam, almost as much as Digimon and Bleach, and I want to share that love with everyone else. This matchup would show that appeal so well. Props to whoever pitched this. Overall, pretty solid month for Death Battle. Now we move on to the fan battle cast where, oh my god, only 4 matchups. Oh man, I can rest. We did do a podcast on FBC where we discussed multiple Halloween-themed matchups though, but there really was no debate, so I'm gonna skip that video for now. Let us start with number 4, the TF2 Mercs versus the Reds and Blues. These are two groups of goofy but strong soldiers who have taken on things way beyond their capabilities, both being filled with unconventional members that you would never expect to be capable in combat. I've seen this idea a lot, and I do think it's fun, but I'm not sure if it's death battle material. Let me explain as we go along. So there are just way too many factors to discuss for a short debate like this one. There is like over 20 characters to consider. Like on the TF2 side, you have the Heavy, which has a weapon that shoots energy and disables tech, Scout, who can use different shotguns and use radioactive objects, and Soldier, who can rocket jump and hit someone with a shovel, resulting in what normally could be an instant kill. The Reds and Blues have people like Donut, who can survive living a year while bleeding out, Tucker, who has a hard light sword, Griff, which has the Griff gun, it's really just a grenade launcher, Sarge, who has a shotgun, Simmons who has a rocket launcher, Church who has a sniper rifle, Lopez who is a robot who is super strong and super smart, and Caboose who has an AI that will auto-target enemies. The Reds and Blues do have some typical equipment, like guns, grenades, and plasma grenades, but their defense is where it's at in this fight. The Mjolnir armor is just crazy durable and has a shield that recharges over time. Not to say that the TF2 mercs don't have something similar. They have the maddened milk, which will slowly regen their health, as well as the medic who will heal them actively, as well as revive them and boost their stats. Pyro's flame weapons, Devilman's bombs, the Heavy's machine guns, the Engineer's plasma balls, and even Spy's backstabbing and invisibility. All of these become better with the medic's help. Too bad it's stats versus equipment for this fight. Speed, strength, and durability all go to the Reds and Blues. The TF2 mercs have the power-up canteen that will do things like refill their ammo and turn invisible. They have magic spells like throwing fireballs and causing small meteor showers, and ways to teleport back to their spawn point to regroup. But there is just one thing they can't compete with: Tex. Tex is more powerful and more skilled than everyone on TF2's team. Even if they revived, she would keep killing them over and over. I think this fight could be fun, but with so many characters to focus on, I can't see it working all too well for Death Battle's 4-minute format. It would be hard to write dialogue and give each character a standout moment, and I do think that's an issue. I'm not saying they couldn't do this well. I'm just saying I can't see how they could. Maybe I'm an idiot though. It wouldn't be the first time that I got something wrong in this community. Number 3, Mojo Jojo vs. Spectre. These are two primates that started off as normal animals before gaining major intelligence from scientific creations. They both have invented a variety of machinery and both are motivated by being treated as outcasts by the rest of the world. How fun and interesting. I can't wait to see how the debate goes. Stephen Moore rep Mojo Jojo and Paul rep Spectre, just to get it out of the way. They are both geniuses who can do a lot of things. Mojo Jojo physically can compare to the Powerpuff Girls, which is far above where Spectre can scale, but Spectre has different ways to keep up in this fight, like his 2 stun batons and a force field that can handle attacks on continental levels. Mojo can be planetary based on how he might have moved the planet, but I need more context on this. Either way, Spectre can keep Mojo at bay with his telekinesis and his massive monkey army. Spectre's monkey army has guns, lasers, UFOs that can move multiple times faster than light, etc. Mojo has an army of smart monkeys, but Spectre has millions in his arsenal, outclassing whatever brains they would have to go against. Mojo has a mind control light that I think would work on the monkeys but not Spectre himself, has multiple robo-duplicates, robots, and the rowdy rough boys to help even the odds. With all of this, Spectre would actually struggle in a full army assault. Mojo can change his size and has multiple mechs to fight with, but Spectre's whole shtick is mechs as well, with his best machine being the Spectre Voltron, a machine that can bowl with planets and assemble continents. Absolute crazy shit. Mojo has some things that Spectre would struggle to keep up with, most notably a marker that will turn anything into whatever word Mojo draws on it. But Spectre's arsenal is just too vast. Spectre can induce pain, has I-beams that can blow up the sun, can create clones of himself, can shrink foes, mind control people in multiple ways, and has a laser that drains motivation. Mojo has physical stats, but large star-destroying lasers outclassed him in my opinion. They can both travel through time, Spectre with tech and Mojo with speed. But let's be real, Spectre is much more impressive, being able to pick and choose where every monkey goes and control them all at once. Mojo will fight valiantly, but Spectre should win in my eyes. What a fun debate though. I love Spectre and want to see him get on the show so badly. I know, I prefer Cortex versus Spectre, but if this one happens over that one, I wouldn't be mad. I just want to see my boy on Death Battle. Please. Number 2, Captain Quark versus Zap Brannigan. These two are very interesting leaders. Both are kind of on the dumber side, and both are really not good people in the slightest. But past that, they both do know how to care about serious situations, both stepping up to the plate whenever people really need them, and they've even put themselves in danger to protect those who can't protect themselves. This matchup is fun, and the guy who pitched it was the same guy who helped me with my pitch presentation, Rand, so I'll give this matchup some love. Rand repped Quark and Paul repped Zap. Just to get this out of the way, comparatively to Quark, Zap doesn't have a lot. They both have a disguise to fool people, they both have blasters, and they both have giant ships and crews. Here's where they differ though. Zap has a generic blaster. Quark has blasters, smoke bombs, decoys, ice guns, cryomines, can create thunderstorms, can make an electric field around himself, can shoot dark matter leeches, a burp gun, the crotchetizer, infinite banana launcher. Wait, what the fuck are those last ones? On top of this, he has Mr. Zircon and Gnome Ninjas to aid him in combat, as well as a disco ball that forces people to dance. Quark has this in the bag for physical long and close range, but this still could be decided by their ships and their crews. Honestly, I doubt their crews will help much in this fight, so it's probably just the ships. Zap's ship, the Nimbus, seems a little more impressive. It can shoot planet-destroying lasers, can resist the pull of black holes, and has a missile that could potentially destroy the universe. But Quark has the Starship Phoenix too, which has powerful shielding, more weapons than Zap's ship, and can tow comets. I think when it comes to their massive ships, Zap actually takes the edge here. This is surprisingly hard to call and can come down to their general intelligence. They are both really stupid, but both have shown intelligence later in their series. I think Zap should be a tad bit smarter, but I also don't see him contending with Quark's more broken equipment like the Rhino 6 motosuit. But if that universe-destroying missile goes off, could Quark's nanotech save him? God, I truly just don't know. I'm gonna go with Quark. The possibility that his equipment will trip Zap up before he thinks to blow up the universe seems more likely, but it's just so hard to call. I hope Death Battle does this matchup since it seems so fun. Plus, Ratchet is my favorite franchise. Get on it now, Ben. Or else. And number 1, Omori vs. Room. I will just quote Pin's quick connections for this since they are so deep. Both are 2020 indie horror projects that have a plot revolving around a person who, due to their own actions, lost someone they loved and stayed locked inside of their home and grew a headspace where they gained a new black and white form that is the symbol of their root cause of grief and pain, Room and Omori. Eventually, the protagonists, Oriel and Sunny, grow out of their headspace and decide to move on with their life with the person they love, and ending Room and Omori along with it. Omori is a game that I love so much, but there's no way I can talk about this without spoilers. I never want to ask someone not to finish a video because it'll mess with my metrics. This is a game you should experience for yourself. This is your spoiler warning for the rest of the video. Fennec repped Omori and Dark Lore Master repped Room. This matchup is not very conventional in the sense that neither combatant is going to be throwing punches and kicks to kill their opponents. Instead, they manipulate their worlds and their constructs inside of them. Omori has full world control. Every enemy, location, and even the friends Omori has within the game are things he can use to fight Room. Omori can survive critical blows even if he only has 1 HP remaining, and he has a deadly knife that will stab someone. Room is really complicated. Like Omori, he controls a world of his own. This world exists within Room's chest in the form of a house. Room can trap people inside this house, meaning Omori's army could get dwindled down fast. Room is a concept that knows he's in a YouTube video, so he could possibly have an inch up on Omori there. Room can regenerate, resurrect, and has immortality. Omori can emotionally manipulate people though. This includes happiness, anger, sadness, and most importantly, fear. When a character is afraid, it locks them out of their abilities. They both resist emotional manipulation, but this fear stat is layered so it might be able to break through Room's resistance. And if Room does things like try to steal Omori's power or travel to different headspace type places, Omori can banish him back to the black space, where he will be forgotten about forever. Now I doubt this would work on Room since again, he could just go to other headspaces, but it's a cool interaction. On the same token though, if Omori is banished to a new headspace or gets trapped inside the house inside of Room's chest, Omori could use his red hands to return to the battlefield. I think personally that the winner is Room. Omori's red hands get dominated by Room's realistic hands, which can nullify powers like Omori's fear resistance. Room can steal stats, shoot laser eyes, and is harder to kill. Room would have to harm Sunny to end Omori, which I find feasible. Omori would have to stop Room from using the entry points to revive himself, which is not something Omori could accomplish, I believe. What a fun idea though. I think this would be a hard battle to do right, but if done right, it could be one of the best episodes in Death Battle's own series. Admittedly, I do have a soft spot for Omori vs. Batter since it was the first fight script and matchup I ever researched on my own, but this matchup is admittedly better. Better thematics, better fight dynamic, and better banter potential. It hits every mark on what makes a good death battle, and I can't wait to see it get created. And that's it. This video was way quicker than the last one. God, I needed that break. But you may remember that I never talked about my pitched matchup that happened in July. Why is this? Did I completely forget about it? I'll never tell. But since I was on the jury, I had my man Sherm talk about this cast. Take it away, my man.
Hi guys, it's me, Santi Sherm, back again to be the Bifui to Plime's nemesis. We're gonna talk about Blaze vs. Rivet. So these two are female counterparts to the main heroes, Sonic and Ratchet, of the main dimension. They've been fighting constantly against the main dimension's antagonist counterpart, Eggman Nega being the counterpart to Eggman, and Emperor Nefarious being the counterpart to Normal Nefarious. Both of their dimensions have been disrupted, causing multiple rips in the hero's main dimension, causing them to seek out and fix the issue. But while doing so, they had trust issues until they met someone from the hero's dimension, Cream and Clank, and eventually understood the meaning of friendship. Eggman and Nefarious both teamed up with their alternate dimension counterparts, which then caused Rivet and Blaze to also team up with their alternate dimension counterpart, Sonic and Ratchet. And as a team up, they were able to successfully stop the dimensional destruction happening to their dimensions. They also fight alongside rebel teams in means of overthrowing their world's empires, Rivet with the Resistance and Rift Apart, and Blaze with the Freedom Fighters respectively. And another less important connection, they are both feline in some form. Is the Lombax feline? Let me look that up. Yes, they are. You learn something new every day. In terms of what they have to work with when it comes to a fight, Blaze has their fire manipulation, they have various wisps to work with, and they also have ring time, although this ability was debated during the cast. Although it seemed like the issues with it were less from she doesn't canonically have this and more we don't want to give this ability to Blaze because then the fight would be over instantly, which I don't know how I feel about that, but anyway, Rivet has a lot more to work with. They have a big robot, a pixel gun, a black hole gun, an ice gun that works on lava, an annoying mushroom guy that pulls aggro by being depressing, a laser that goes through shields, a sniper rifle that slows down time, that seems very helpful against someone who is faster than you, a shield that reflects projectiles, and space-time manipulation grenades. They also seem to both have ways to warp across dimensions, although this comparison wasn't brought up a lot. Rivet also has a phantom dash that makes her temporarily not exist. It seems like there's a bit of disparity in terms of their arsenal and abilities, although that may just be the way this debate was overall set up. I think that Gilded and Rand did a great job debating, no notes. Plymph, I have some thoughts on. What I'm about to say may seem hypocritical, but I think as the show is growing, we can kind of start nitpicking a little bit more than how we would have even a month or two ago. And I can say it seemed that Plymph was pretty biased towards Rivet during this cast. Like, I know he is the pitcher, so he has, like, specific thoughts and ideas he wants to get across, but I mean, at that point, man, just debate for Rivet if you're that passionate about the topic of making sure Rivet has all their stuff. Because it did feel like you were constantly teeing up for Rand to talk about Rivet stuff, basically giving him every argument possible. Whereas Blaze, you were constantly like downplaying them, doubting their higher arguments, and didn't actually tee up Gilded for anything, which made Gilded had much less of an opportunity to talk about what they wanted to talk about, it seemed. Although this could just be because Rivet had generally a lot more to talk about. I do think that this could be balanced a little better in the future. There was one moment where Gilded said Blaze was at least as fast as Light because Sonic was as fast as Light, and Blaze and Sonic were relative in speed. And then Plymph seemed to say something along the lines of he disagreed with this off-show, which this is probably hella out of context because I don't know what conversation Gilded and Plymph had beforehand, but I'd love to know the context on how Plymph seemed to show doubts on baseline light speed for any relevant Sonic character at this point. Yeah, but in general, I think the matchup sounds phenomenal. I think the cast in general is pretty fun. I like the idea of how Blaze, with the overall stat advantage, would deal with all these wacky guns. I think the idea of comparing the much faster than light speeds of the Ratchet and Clank ships, how fast that might be compared to Sonic speeds. The Dimensionator being universal seems weird to me, but what do I know? I don't know the lore of those games too well. Anyway, I think the fight seems really fun. I like the idea of how mobile it could be. I like the idea of these two characters interacting. And I think overall, despite my complaints, the cast was an overall fun time, and it seemed like everyone involved had a fun time with it, so hey, 2 thumbs up from me. If you guys would like to learn more about this matchup, I'm sure Plymph has a link in the description to his pitch video for the matchup, where he talks to Sam and Liam about it. There are some technical difficulties, but I think it's still well worth the watch. It's a good time. Plymph is clearly very passionate about this matchup.
And that's all for today, folks. Hopefully you liked this video and want to stick around. October will be a big month for me, and I think most of you know why. In any case, have a great day, everyone, and take care.